Quest presents an unabridged recording of We Used to Live Here by Daniel Hurst, narrated by Deirdra Whelan and Adam Goodwin.
Prologue. How many people does it take to look for a dead body? 17, apparently, if the number of people currently in the garden at 31 Birchfield Drive was any way of judging it. That's how many were standing around at the back of the property, their feet moving across either the patio, the grass, or the quaint little path that led down to the shed at the bottom of the garden. Most of the people were wearing boots, which seemed sensible given that this environment was quickly turning into a mud bath as land was churned up and soil was dumped to the side of the rapidly expanding hole. But some of those present were wearing less appropriate footwear for the conditions, like the set of sandals on the feet of the female homeowner or the smart black shoes on the feet of the male homeowner. However, those two people were not technically involved in the search for a body in this garden. They were just here to see if their property turned into a crime scene. For what was normally a very quiet street in an extremely quiet town in the south of England, there was plenty of noise and activity in this little section of the map. The back of this house was overrun with police officers, detectives and forensic experts, as well as a couple of sniffer dogs, while the front of it was home to all the vehicles they had travelled here in today. Cars, vans and even an ambulance sat on the street, giving all the neighbours plenty to look at as they stood by their windows and speculated on what might be happening at number 31. At the moment, it was all gossip and hearsay, but as the old saying went, there was no smoke without fire. So if the police were looking for a body, then there was a good chance they believed they would find one. Such a thing would have surely got every journalist in this town salivating at the prospect of having something more interesting to put in their news articles than a cat getting stuck up a tree again in the local park. But for now, all journalists were kept out of the way, as in the dark as the neighbours were. This was strictly a matter for the police at the moment, and until they knew more, nobody else would know anything. But as the officers, detectives and forensic experts worked diligently, deploying impressive technological items such as ground-penetrating radar devices, as well as more heavy-duty instruments like spades, the mystery still remained. Would they find a body or not? There was surely nobody on the scene morbid enough to actually want to see human remains here today, but perhaps the two people who were hoping this would have a happy ending the most were the property owners standing on the patio. The wife had her arms folded across her chest and was nibbling on her bottom lip.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?